Hello, Todd Clemens, Okeechobee Livestock Market, and here's your weekly market report. I tell you what, there's cattle. Numbers are over the top. We had a big run of cattle. We had 1,600 head Monday and close to 1,900 head Tuesday, and the same goes for all the sale barns in the state. There's just cattle everywhere. So are buyers excited and really fired up about buying cattle? No, not really, because there's so many of them out there. You know, buyers have to sit at these sales for hours and hours and hours, and they get their orders, and the guys are on the phone with the people they're buying cattle for, and they say, buy them cheaper. They can be so much more selective on what they're buying. But anyway, you know, we talked about this before, and we'll talk about it again, and we'll talk about it next year the same time. The end of August and September are the toughest months to sell anything from Florida. Especially these calves coming off their mamas, they're balling calves, they're you know, getting bought and shipped to Kansas or Oklahoma or somewhere, and the weather conditions out west there's 40 or 50 degree temperature change going on in the weather. I mean, it'll be 100 degrees during the day and then down in the 60s at night, and health is a problem with these calves coming right off their mamas. They're stressed out, and so anyway. Same old story, just a lot of cattle out there, and there's a lot of pressure on these prices. The slaughter classes of cattle are holding up pretty good, even in light of huge volumes, because the Labor Day buy-up, and beef demand is off the chart. Box beef cutouts now are at the highest level they've ever been, even into last year when the COVID thing was going on. This time in August, box beef cutout prices are higher than what they've ever been. They're up around $3.50 a pound there on those choice cutouts. But anyway, there's a lot of cattle moving. If you got something to sell, just be prepared. You know, you're going to probably see a little bit lower prices than what you saw a week or two ago. And that's just the way it is right now about this time of year. But just to give you an idea, on the feeder classes yesterday, we had 1,859 head of cattle. And in the number one categories, well, the feeder classes, we had 1,500 head reported that were in feeder classes. And so in your market report, when you look at the number one calves, the top quality, best calves that come through the ring, the number one medium steers, there were about 150 head reported. 150 head from 200 pounds to 600 pounds. In all those weight ranges, 150 head reported as number ones. So that means all the other 12 or 1,300 head that were in the feeder classes were less than number ones. Maybe, and these are steers too I'm talking about. You know, a lot of bull calves coming through that take a pretty good hit, you know, maybe 10-cent hit on a bull calf compared to a steer calf now. And I mean, even in this time of year, it's probably even more than it is in other times of the year because of the weather and the heat and the stress factors on cattle already. So bulls are going to bring less than steers because they have to go through the process of castration, which is tough on them. So what I'm trying to say is the quality is number one, as always, determining the price of what you're going to get, and then the fact that if it's steer or bull has a factor on that too. But there's a lot of cattle coming in here that aren't meeting that number one category in the top prices. But if you did sell calves that were in the 400 to 450 weight range, there were some reported there with an average weight of 422 and an average price of $1.78. Well, last week they probably would have brought $1.80, 82, so it's not that bad off. In the 5 weight range, from 5 to 550, the net average weight of that class was 536 and an average price of $145. The range was from 144 to 155 with an average of 145, which is a little bit lower than what it was probably last week, but still not all that bad. But when you leave that number one steer category and you go down to the number twos, For instance, the 5 to 550 number 2s were quoted an average weight of 518 at 139. So that's over a $5 difference just in that the grading from a 1 to 2. And those are on steers. And then add in the factor if they're bulls, you can take another at least 5 cents, maybe even 10 cents off of the bull price. So, you know, if you have something to sell and you got to get them off the cows or whatever, you know, just maybe sell the biggest ones and do the best you can about managing, but don't expect these prices to improve next week or through the whole month of September. It's just going to be a lot of cattle moving. But on the other end of it, on the packer end of it, packer margins now, last week was $900, and this week, reported yesterday, packer margins are up to $1,200. So meat's moving. The retail prices are extremely high, record high, and the cash market there for the fat cattle coming out of the feedlots did improve. There was some trade there about $1.30. And last week they were looking at 121 or 122, so they put on a little bit. But the difference, the disparity between the end result, the end price the packers are getting, and the price that the producers is getting is even larger than it was. But having said that, the cattle on feed report was a little bit optimistic, a little bit bullish. There's fewer cattle, there's less numbers. There's more currency in the feedlots. They're closer to the knife, so packers are having to be a little bit more aggressive. But they buy these cattle with time on them, you know, where they don't have to pick them up for 30 days. So they buy these cattle and kind of stack them up or store them up. So when they get short, they don't have to be so aggressive on the cash market to bid because they've got supply, captive supply already there. So we got to work through the captive supply and get more current, so the packers have to be more aggressive when they're bidding for cattle in the feedlots on the cash negotiated price. So hopefully things will improve. You know, we just got to get through this next month, and maybe towards the end of the year we can look for some improvement in our cash market here for these calves. So anyway, the calf market was under a lot of pressure due to huge volumes moving. It was quoted unevenly steady. I would call it probably unevenly steady to lower. And the slaughter classes, your cows and bulls, held up pretty good. They were fully steady with a big run of cows. And those better end of those cows are still bringing in the upper 60s and the low 70s. And we had some good bulls that come through here too. Big old bulls that brought right there close to $1 a pound. So that's your market report. On our high price for the week, we had Corrigan Ranch from Vero Beach, longtime customer, sold a 305-pound steer calf that brought $2.24, bought by Cracker. And for the high cow price, Robert Baker sold a 1,210-pound cow that brought $75.50, bought by Florida Beef. And that's your market report. Thank you.